I'm Chris Lawrenson, and this is Slurp, Gulp, and Start on Sounds. In 2011, I finished writing and designing my poetry anthology. Excited to publish, I ordered a hard copy to finally proofread. That copy arrived, but then my hard drive died, taking all the files with it. The book was never published, and this singular copy has been on my shelf ever since. But now I'm sharing it with you. In this podcast, I'm reading poems from the book and diving more deeply into some of them. Follow along in the show notes. On to the episode. I'm excited about the episode today because, to memory, I think it's the only poetry collaboration I've ever done where the other piece is not a poem and instead it's a piece of visual art. I'm right now recording a video, which I'm going to put up on the Patreon feed, and it shows on screen the piece of art, which is a sculpture. It's by an artist named Dylan Clements, who's a friend of mine. I met Dylan from our community when I lived in Bristol, UK. Dylan, I believe, is still there. We've hung out a few times. We know that we're both fellow artists, and we decided to do a collaboration for a very small, very local little art show. What you're hearing right now is me from the future coming back and recording a new introduction, mostly because I had messed up the original recording, but also because I had failed to plug Dylan and his work in my original intro. I think it's because I've been trying to keep these really short, but then I realized that, they're exceedingly short for a podcast. So I'm going to let myself go into a little bit more detail than I normally would. And what I would like to do is start with describing the piece of visual art that's done here by Dylan Clements. So what you're looking at is, or if you go to the Patreon, which is patreon.com/ChrisPoetry, you'll see a post that has a photograph of this sculpture. The sculpture is, I'm going from memory because I have seen this in person when we did the art show. From memory, this thing is about maybe 20 inches or 22 inches tall. And it looks like, I'm so sorry for this, Dylan. I'm going to botch the description of this because I know nothing about sculpture. But it looks like it's some sort of like a light rock, a sandstone or limestone or something like that. And this is where all the geologists on the channel send me comments, which is fine. Please send them over. School me on this because I don't know what I'm looking at. But so what I'll do is I'll describe kind of the color and shape and stop talking about rocks like I know what I'm doing. It kind of appears like the rough shape of it is almost like a four-sided column. So that's the rough shape. It's taller than it is wide. And at the top is a face, and it appears that the eyes are closed. It's a sort of interpretive, minimalistic type of face, something that maybe you'd expect to see on like a, ancient carving of a person or something like that. It's got I would describe it from an artistic point of view as kind of reductionist a little. While it has some very exaggerated features like the nose line, the eyebrows are enlarged, the eyes are enlarged, the head is bald, there's no hair. And it's also, the head is tilted back as though it's looking up at the sky, or almost as if it's lying down on its back. There's no body attached to the head, really. It's just sort of a head, and then the head is lying down on the back of the skull on two pair of hands. And the hands, I would say, are a little proportionately large compared to the head. And they're sort of in this like loosely praying type of pose. So they're sort of clasped together with the tips of the fingers of each hand touching each other, and then but they're not smashed together. There's a looseness about it. They feel like they're gently resting together. And then those are sort of like on the side, as though you might try to lie, as though you might lie, put your hands between a pillow and your head when you're lying down on it. So hence the title of the poem, Asleep on Our Knees. And then below the hands, there is just a sort of vague kind of roundness that could be construed as a body, maybe, almost like shoulders standing upright. Or it could just be a smoothed piece of stone, or whatever the material is. The material's light in color, not quite white, but maybe kind of a gray sand sort of color. It's quite fine. There are some imperfections in the material. I'm going to stop there because I feel like I'm just botching the description of this. You really need to see it for yourself. The impression that it gives, I think, is quite striking. It doesn't make you think of anything kind of natural, and yet the material and the shape that Dylan has given to it, to me, is very calming. It makes me feel comfortable with uncertainty. Let me talk a little tiny bit about Dylan's work. His Instagram can be found at, or his Instagram username is Dylan_portraits. A lot of Dylan's recent work appears to be maybe charcoal or pencil on some sort of parchment or paper. And he's got many styles going on. He has a lot of these types of portraits. He almost exclusively does portraits. From what I know of Dylan and the work I've seen of his in the past, his portraits are largely people he knows, if not 100% people he actually knows personally, or has met. I think for his sculptures, it seems to be the opposite. They're sort of images of, they're definitely personas. They're individuals, I guess. Seems like all his sculptures are individuals, humanoids or human forms. Almost all of them. And yet they don't, I don't believe that they're people that Dylan actually knows. I believe they're more personas. If you can hear my mouse, that's me scrolling up and down his Instagram page. So Dylan's done a lot of this physical sculpture, and he's also done a lot of these kind of hand-done portraits on paper. I would encourage you to check out his work. He's also an all-around fantastic human. He's just incredibly good at listening. I would say he's a gentle soul with a very deep well of not just knowledge, but creative energy inside him. That's how I'll describe Dylan. If we get a chance, I will bring Dylan on the podcast and we'll have a proper discussion where you can learn more about not just our collaboration, but also him as an artist and more about his work. Let's talk about this poem. As I said, it's a collaboration, and not a collaboration just between two poets writing poetry, but between a poet writing poetry and a visual artist doing visual art. When Dylan and I first had this idea to collaborate, I think the first thing was like, wouldn't it be cool to collaborate on a piece of art and a poem? And I think, I don't know what Dylan was thinking. I know I was thinking, that sounds cool, but what is that? What does that even come out like? And so it came out as a sculpture and a poem. And they both feel, to me, they've always felt like they go together. I don't ever read this poem without talking about the sculpture and bringing up a picture of it. And to me, they're one work and made up of sort of two sides. And without further ado, here is Asleep on Our Knees with Dylan Clements. We could be depraved any minute of the day, laid down like Cayman Islands, habitual silence, laid down like flaming wicker, flames and flicker. There's peace in absence, and I'm left wanting. We balance atop a playful stand who promises to support us and, oath like no one else can do, help lay down my head upon a pillow on my bed. We could be engaged any minute of the day, wondering about why or wondering about why. But we stay straight. We discuss the ways to stay up late. Cappuccino, látte, Betty Page, Wilford, Brimley, Raitt. We construct a waiting game, playing each other's turns away. Keep our feet on the ground. Our heads are in the clouds. Stop the discussion and get us down. With oath like no one else can do. Promise to support me. We stay on display any minute of the day. Fingers twitching, let us speak. We're needy kids, so leave us be. Hit me with that Windex, kid, and clear a way for us to leave. Laid down. We go down and sleep on our knees. Time slows by and then rewinds, and we arise, still here breathing like too much reverb. Exhaling wet breath on our jeans, undoing our seams, unraveling, exposing our knees. Asleep when things aren't always as they seem, reluctant to expose anything like, say, ourselves ever again. There's enough of that in the world, but people keep on giving. Such generosity mends itself like a soldier in the bush, tending to press on rather than dress his wounds. Such expositions like endless direction, concentration as time sadly ends. Clamber up and be on the right or left side to begin. It's all so messy, but we must begin. Thanks for listening. To support and influence this work, head over to patreon.com/chrispoetry, where there's lots of free bonus content and more opportunities to support and influence this work. To help the show, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. See you next Wednesday.